Good morning and welcome to today's morning movement mobility session. This is going to be about 20 to 30 minutes of light movement. All that you need is your body, something to hold on to like a wall or a chair or a broomstick, and the floor with maybe a yoga mat for one of our circuits. So we'll go ahead and get started with some gentle movements. First, for the neck, one of the best places to focus our mobility, especially as we get older. And we're going to do a neck side to side, and then look over one shoulder and over the other shoulder. You can relax your hands or hold them however you like, but we're going to do side, side, look over one shoulder, look over the other shoulder. So take your time going through that sequence and don't force the range of motion. Just let the movement go where it naturally does. We're not trying to overstretch or overexert. We'll do each circuit 2 times. So the second time you might feel a little loosened up, and that's when you can try to go a little bit further. But for now, just gentle head tilts, look over each shoulder, and one more of each. Right, left, one shoulder, other shoulder. Very good. And our next one's going to be similar, but for the wrists, we're going to do 2 movements in a sequence. It's first going to be in, out, and then away from you, towards you. So in, out, away from you, and towards you. In, out, away from you, and towards you. So as long as you're doing any combination of those 4 movements, that lateral wrist movement, this one where we go away and towards, is often a really good one that we don't think of doing. So it might feel a little bit uncomfortable or like you don't have much range of motion at all, and that's totally okay. Just try to coordinate that movement, and that goes a long way. One more of each. In, out, away from you, towards you. Very good. Then we'll switch to the lower body for our third one with some leg swings. This is where you'll want to hold on to something for balance, just anything that supports you a little bit. And then I like to swing the inside leg and put the other hand on my hip. You can relax it to your side if you prefer. But we're just going to swing our leg without letting it hit the ground, forwards and backwards. Keep this a little bit controlled, not too willy-nilly, and try to make sure that you're not moving your whole body or the rest of your lower leg. Just keep everything really controlled at the top. You'll notice my hips move a little bit with my leg, but I'm just letting it go naturally. And then we're going to stick with this leg. Turn if you're using the wall or turn towards your chair. And then we're going to do side to side. So letting that leg lift up and cross in front of you. Again, not forcing any range of motion, just letting it naturally swing. Last one. Perfect. And then we'll repeat that same thing on the other side. Just swinging, keeping your foot flexed might help you keep it from running into the ground. And I'm not trying to lift my leg up, I'm just going with wherever it naturally swings. We'll do one more. And then turn and get the side to side swings. Might notice one side is a little different from the other. That's totally normal and expected with mobility. That's why it's often good to work each side independently, but also sometimes working them together. Last one. and rest. Very good. So that's the end of our first circuit. We're going to repeat all of those one more time, starting with the neck mobility. So for this one, just find your place. My feet are almost together, just relaxing the hands. And as a reminder, we're going side, side, and then look over one shoulder and look over the other. So it's super common to hold a lot of tension in our neck, or to notice when you're driving that you have more trouble looking over your shoulder to check your blind spot than usual. And so doing things like this with the repetition that we get with mobility can be really great for maintaining the mobility that you do have or slowly improving it. Mobility is a long game, so be patient with it and be consistent and be frequent with small doses, and that's really the best way to see improvements. One more of each side, side, look over one shoulder, look over the other shoulder. Good. All right, collect yourself and get ready for the wrists. Again, this one is forward or in, out, forward, back. Really, any way you make this little cross or box with your hand works. And notice I'm trying not to move my elbows too much. Sometimes with mobility, we can kind of transfer the work elsewhere, but trying to keep the elbows nice and locked in. Don't stress about it too much, but just making sure they're not really wiggling in or out. Again, you might notice that one hand can do a lot more range of motion than the other. That's totally okay. Also totally normal. Nothing to be afraid about. Just those differences that we see from one side of the body to the other. Last ones. Forward and back. Good. Alrighty, then back to our leg swings. Again, finding your little bit of balance support, and then just swinging one leg back and forth. I'm actually going to switch to that inside leg. You can really do either, it doesn't matter. I find my hips just move overall less when I swing that inside leg. And just a natural swing. Maybe keeping the foot flexed, but again, don't stress too much about it. Last one. And then turn, face whatever's helping you balance. Keep swinging that same leg in front of you and out to the side. This time around, you can lift the leg out to the side just a little bit, not too much, but enough that it engages a little bit of this outer hip. Last one. Wonderful. And then we'll go to the other side, swinging that leg forward and back. Making sure to breathe. Maybe noticing which things increase your breathing rate more than others. One more swing. And then the side to side. Again, maybe ever so slightly helping that swing with a lift out to the side. Just a little bit, not stressing the hip mobility too much. Last one. And rest. Wonderful. Alrighty, our next portion is going to be down on the floor. So try to find carpet or a yoga mat, something that's really comfortable for you to rest on. And I'll meet you down there. So our first one is going to be for shoulder mobility. I'm going to try to make sure I don't run into my wall here, but make your way down to the ground. Just resting on your back with your knees bent. They could also be straight if that felt more comfortable, or you could bend one leg. But we're gonna start with our arms all the way up overhead and just barely off the ground. So maybe a centimeter or two. Then keeping your arms long, you're gonna just make a really big snow angel all the way down to your sides or as close as you can get. And then slowly make your way back up to the top. If that's a little taxing, you can also let your hands rest on the ground, or maybe your hands are nowhere near the ground because your chest is a little bit tighter. That's okay if your hands are more like here and you feel a big stretch, especially as you get to the top. That's totally okay. Let yourself be there. And over time, if you feel like you can let your hands drift closer to the ground, then do that. Again, slow control is the name of the game with mobility, so don't rush through this. If you're moving your hands from the top to the bottom position in less than 2 seconds, you're going too fast. Slow it down, reach with those fingertips, and rest. Good. All right, we're in position for our next movement, which is going to be for the hips. It's also going to engage our core a tiny bit, but we're going to do mini windshield wipers with our legs, focusing on the knees. Let's just have your hands out to your side, and then I'm going to drop my knees a little bit towards the side, maybe about halfway, and then bring them back up through the center and to the other side. Bring them back up. And know yourself, if there's any reason that you shouldn't twist much, keep this movement really small. If it feels good and you have the core strength, you can let the knees drift a little further. But I'm going to show you for the next few reps what it would look like to keep this movement really small, essentially just rocking from one side of your pelvis to the other. That's also totally okay and exactly what we're working. Or maybe you can bring the knees just a little bit wider. Again, focus on your breath here. If your core or your legs get tired, you can take a little break. This is our last one. And then before we're done here, just relax your feet, hold on to your knees, and just move them a little bit away from you and pull them in. Away from you, pull in. 2 more, away, in. Last one, away, and in. Very nice. All right, the good news with this whole circuit is you don't have to move. We're in position for our last one, which is going to be a nice glute stretch. But to get a little bit extra mobility focus than just flexibility, I'm going to pull that knee towards me and then release it a little bit. So I'm holding on to the back of my hamstring or the front of my shin, depending on where your mobility is at. Maybe I'm holding on a little lower on my hamstring if that's what's comfortable, or maybe even holding on to this leg, whatever works for you. And I'm just pulling that leg a little bit towards me and releasing. Kind of like we just did with the knees. Pull towards you, release, pull towards you, and release. Pull, not too fast. Pull, one more. Pull. Good. Then drop your leg down, uncross, cross the other way, and then grab on wherever feels comfortable, and then pull and release. Where you should feel that is in the crossed leg on the back of the leg, maybe in the glute or hamstring. Also good for our hips to be in this position. And really, sometimes this position, you'll notice your knee is like here. Maybe your knee goes out really easily. Don't force that knee out too much. You can think about pulling it away from you, but that's something that'll improve over time as your mobility improves. One more. and rest. Very good. Alrighty, we're ready and in position to do this circuit one more time. So again, finding those lying angels with our hands just a few centimeters off the floor, or maybe your hands need to be here. That's totally okay. But just making a big snow angel. Hands come all the way down to the sides, keeping them as close to the ground as you can, but not forcing it. And maybe your overhead mobility is really challenged. If you need to only raise your arms up to a T or a Y, you could stop right there and go back down. But again, kind of see how your shoulders feel and stay within that comfortable range of motion, looking to increase it over time. Again, slow and control. Wherever you're at, we're going to do one more. And bring back up. And rest. Very good. Alrighty, second one is those knee windshield wipers. So just bring them in. Hands go on the ground. Then lift the feet up just a little bit if you can. And then drop the knees a little bit to the side. Again, maybe only going as far as halfway. We're not lowering all the way to the ground with this one. Make sure your knees don't get too far away from you. That makes it more challenging on the core. Also, don't have them way tucked in close to your chest. Try to think about a 90-degree angle at your hips. Again, this can be really small. And we're not using momentum as we lower and raise the legs. We're keeping it super slow and controlled. Paying attention to how it feels in your lower back, in your pelvis, and your core. And we'll do one more to the side, through the center, to the other side. And before we're done with this, just a few hug and release. Tuck the knees in and release. Kind of gets us ready for that next glute stretch with the pulse. One more time. In and out. Nice. And choose whatever leg you want to start with. Cross that ankle over your knee. Grab on to the back of the leg. Pull and release. Pull and release. Maybe you really can't pull in very far. Again, that's totally okay. Just notice where that natural limit is. Could even write it down, like, oh, this glute stretch felt really challenging. And then you can look back over the weeks and see how it's improved. If it hasn't improved too much, maintaining is always still a win. Or you could take that as your sign to increase your frequency of mobility a little bit. All right, drop that leg down, switching sides, crossing the other ankle over the knee. Grabbing onto the back of that leg, pull and release. Pull and release. And maybe you start to notice that your hips really feel like they need mobility, or your shoulders, or there's a certain area that you know you really need to focus on, and there are other areas where your mobility seems really unimpeded. You can always alter what you do outside of these sessions to focus on those parts where you notice they could use a little bit of extra work. Pull in and out. Last one. In and out. Very nice. All right, slowly make yourself back up to a standing position for our last circuit of 3 exercises. Hopefully you're feeling a little bit looser and warmed up. But our first one is going to be just some shoulder shrugs. So working the neck and shoulders in a different way. Hands are just at your sides, but we're going to bring the shoulders up towards the ears and then really try to lengthen them down. Shrug up and down. Kind of that I don't know motion of the shoulders, and then think about reaching your fingertips towards the floor. Big shrug up and down, shrug up and down. Good, then line one more and down. Good. All right, second one is going to be some standing overhead reaches. I like to start with my thumbs at my shoulders here. Feet are just a couple inches apart. And then I'm going to reach up and over with one side, back down, up and over with the other side, and down. Now I'm reaching more up than I am over because I'm trying to really stretch right around the bottom of the ribs in that oblique area and getting just a little bit of lengthening of the spine. Good, taking your time, reach with the fingertips. And imagining that reach really gets more bang for your buck than just kind of ending at the natural limit. If you actively think about reaching, you'll get even more out of each movement. Last one. And rest. Good. Alrighty, and our last one, have to throw in one squat variation. We're going to do a sumo squat. So this depends on you. Maybe you can do a wide stance. Maybe your wide stance looks like this, but try to find a slightly uncomfortable wide position with your toes angled outward, torso's tall. Then you're going to push your knees out in line with your toes as you sink down and come back up. How far you lower down is up to you. You don't have to go very far at all. You can go a couple inches, but if it feels good and you're able to keep your torso really tall and your knees pushing out, we're getting that hip mobility at the inner thigh by doing this plie type of sumo squat. So again, especially at first, be conservative with how far you lower down. And then as it opens up and feels good, you can maybe sink a little bit lower. One more. And rest. Very nice. Alrighty, last time we go through this circuit and then we're done. So going back to those shoulder shrugs, fingertips at your sides, shrugging the shoulders up, and then pulling them down. When I pull my shoulders down, I feel my lats engage. That's that big back muscle that's right underneath the armpit. It attaches down there. And that's what you squeeze to lower your shoulders away from your ears as you're reaching down. Shrug up, reach down, two more, up, down, one more, up, and down. Very nice. All right, 2 exercises left to go. First one's that overhead reach, starting with hands here, feet just an inch or two apart. Reach up and think about lengthening at the side. Come back down, reach up. I'm going to show you what we're not doing is reaching way over like that. We're reaching up and a little bit over. Up. Good. Staying really tall with your posture, especially as you reach those fingertips like you're trying to grow a centimeter with the fingertips reaching towards the ceiling. We've got one more for each side. Reach and lower, reach and lower back down. Very nice. Alrighty, last one. Again, that sumo squat, finding that slightly uncomfortable wide position, toes slightly outward. I like to have my hands just reaching down towards the ground. Torso stays tall, knees point outward. They don't go inward as you lower down and up. Again, totally okay just to go at your own speed for this one. Taking your time as we do with all mobility. Torso stays tall. This one will really help you finish by feeling warmed up, as squats always do, and maybe ready for some cardio or some more strength training, or for a walk, or just to have you ready for your day. One more. And rest. Alrighty, great job. I hope that you feel limbered up, loosened up, a little bit lighter in your body, in your joints. I would love if you would share this class with a friend if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments if you would like a chair yoga session again soon, or a chair mobility session again soon, or any requests that you have for future classes. You can find a lot more information about me and tips for exercising as a senior over on Instagram at HelloStrengthSeniors. And I hope to see you next week.